Hello and welcome to another episode of the LOC Report. It's another live stream, but it's only going to be a short one today, so don't worry if you didn't catch it live, because as you can probably see, co-host Chris Leach is not here. However, we do have another special guest on this show. It's Izzy, who is sat right here, being the most awkward dog in the world right now. I am doing the podcast solo today, which means I have to look after a manic dog as well, so we'll do the best we can, and we'll keep it relatively short, because we all know me droning on for an hour is not what you want to listen to. Apparently she doesn't want to either, so let's get straight to it with the league news. So as always, we start off with injuries, and as usual there were a few. So we'll start off here with Derek Carr. He had quite a nasty pinky injury last week. If anyone saw it, it looked like a nasty dislocation. Dislocated his finger in two places. But he came back in the game, to his credit, and he should be fine for Sunday. You right there? Okay, moving on, CJ Fedorowicz, he's had that shoulder injury. He'll be good to go this Sunday, no question. Jeremy Macklin, he'll return. He's missed, I think, the last 3-4 weeks with a groin injury. And it's not really a boost for anyone. The Tyreek Hill owner is now screwed, and the Kansas City offense goes back to being horrible. Marvin Jones, he's got a foot injury that he's been dealing with all season long. Highly questionable. He's really a 50-50 to play. Devontae Parker, he suffered a back injury last week. I would be very surprised if he plays. He might be up to it, but I've even seen the coaches might just hold him out for a week anyway. Michael Crabtree, he has a ankle injury that he got a few weeks ago. What's he doing? He'll be fine this week. But Rob Gronkowski, he's suffered a back injury in last week's game that he's going to need surgery on, and it's very likely he'll miss the rest of probably the season, maybe come back for the Super Bowl if the Patriots make it, but in terms of fantasy, he's done. Can you just sit down, please? Right, Brandon Marshall did not practice on Friday with any foot injuries. He's been, banged up all week, but it's just a bit of soreness, so he should be fine. Okay then. Alan Hurns, he is out this Sunday. He's out with a hamstring injury. He will not play. 1 second. Fine, go away. But other than that, that's all for the Tuck Fords. Moving on, Matt Forte, he's a full participant. He'll play this week. And Martellus Bennett, he's been dealing with an ankle injury for quite some time, but especially now with Gronk gone, he's the tight end to own in New England. He'll be fine. Chris Ivory's out this weekend. He has a hamstring injury as well. I'm pretty sure it's news if Chris Ivory doesn't have a hamstring injury, but he is not playing this week. T.Y. Hilton, his back has been a problem, but he was a full participant this week, so he will be good to go. Jonathan Stewart, he's full practice, probably just a rest day. Mike Evans, full practice, he'll be fine. John Brown, still dealing with symptoms from that sickle cell stuff. He's questionable for Sunday's game. We'll have to see. I'd imagine he will suit it up, but we won't know for sure. AJ Green, he's out. Grade 2 hamstring tear is what he's dealing with, so I expect him to miss a bit more time. Theo Riddick, he's questionable with an ankle injury, but I'd be surprised if he wasn't playing. Jordan Reed, however, he isn't going to play. He's got that shoulder injury too. He's going to miss this week. Oh, Izzy, would you be quiet? Moving on. Eknan looking good. Brady, he had a knee injury, seemed quite significant. He was a bit hampered on Sunday. He's still got it. He's probably a bit better. He's questionable. He'll play, so no worries there. Antonio Brown did not practice, but that's probably just a rest day more than anything. And that's about it for the Brady bunch. Moving on, Latavius Murray, he's questionable again with an ankle injury, but he'll probably play. Jordan Matthews, questionable as well, also an ankle, but he should be good to go. Andrew Luck, full participant in practice. He's still got to clear one final hurdle with the concussion protocol, I think, but I'm pretty sure he'll be good to go. Lamar Miller, he was a limited participant, ankle and ribs again, but he should be fine. Tyrell Williams, he's had a shoulder injury. He was limited. We'll have to see if he plays. I imagine he will, but keep an eye on it. Aaron Rodgers, he's questionable. He suffered that odd hamstring injury in last week's game, but ultimately I'd expect him to play. Chris Hogan continuing with that back injury, but he should be fine. Moving on, Julian Edelman, he's had that foot injury all season long. We should be good to go. Matthews has a knee injury. He will not play this weekend. Mark Ingram, he's got a toe injury. Who knows with Mark Ingram? He's such an enigma, but I imagine he'll play. Sammy Watkins, obviously he returned last week from that foot injury. I'd anticipate him playing again this weekend. So that is your injuries. And before I do the transactions, I'm going to have to go and deal with this dog. Excuse me. Right then, sorry about that. Transactions then. So let's look what transactions we had this week. So Thomas Torrance added Colin Kaepernick and dropped Carson Wentz. Fair enough. Verdenez added Jason Witten and dropped Antonio Gates. Fortress added Wendell Smallwood and dropped Mike Gillisley. Gridiron Gang added the Green Bay Packers defense and dropped the Miami Dolphins. And on Red Zone added Jared Cook and dropped Ryan Tannehill. The Dream Team added Alfred Morris and dropped Brandon LaFell. Pakistan added Taylor Gabriel, dropped Tennessee Titans. ALZ added Matt Prater and dropped Josh Lambo. They also added Lance Kendricks. 3 tight ends on the roster this week for ADLZ. Sorry, my video is very specky right now. Gridiron Gang added Vernon Davis and dropped Stephen Hauschka. They also added Malcolm Mitchell and dropped Christine Michael. And finally, Ben assisted at the Dolphins defense and dropped the Bills defense. So that is all your transactions. So we'll take a look at last week's games then. What we got on last week's games. So let's start off with this one. So I mean, there was so many good games last week. You know, with how close it was, everyone at pretty much 5-6 or 6-5. The playoffs are it's so wide open at the moment, so wide open. But this game was slightly more crucial than the others. The Dream Team versus Bare Necessities. So both these teams were at 6-5. The winner would take sole possession of the Winchester division and be that one step closer to the playoffs. The history of this matchup was pretty close. The Dream Team and Bare Necessities matchup 5-6, so very close, slightly in favour of Bare Necessities. But the Dream Team leveled it up 102-76, and I mean, looking down, a lot of that is due to Drew Brees. He got 40 points, Murray got 14, Ravensy got 12. Behind that, there really wasn't a lot else to the Dream Team, but you know, this is what we've seen in them all season long. They'll get that points maybe by one great player or spread out. It's very fluid. Meanwhile, Bare Necessities, I think it's fair to say, probably the worst week they've had in a while. They've been a very good team, but you know, they obviously aren't as good as they were earlier in the season. Eli Manning chipped in a good 25 points. Le'Veon Bell got 20, but really behind that, it was just awful. Brandon Cooks didn't get a catch. It's a tough week for them. They dropped to 6-6. Dream Team at 7-5, leading the division. It's getting interesting, people. We've had a message in. We're about to get onto his game. Phil says, "I'll lose all the rest of my Sundays." Positive there from Phil. Great to have you all watching. Didn't realise we had anyone watching, but there we go. So there you go. Speaking of which, the Tuck Fathers did play Cash for Gold last week. Cash for Gold have really been resurgent lately. Meanwhile, the Tuck Fathers, you know, they had that really good stretch about a month or two ago, but they've not been great lately. Sadly, that continued. Cash for Gold took it 89-74. not much to say in this one. The top files, Ben Roethlisberger got them a nice 26, but other than Crabtree with 11, there was nothing there. Gronk got a big fat 0, but that's probably more due to the injury than anything. Meanwhile, on Casher Gold's side of the ball, Aaron Rodgers 27, Ezekiel Elliott 24. We all know they're the key guys here. Rashad Matthews got a nice 12 as well. Steve Ezekiel 12. Just getting to that 89. Got the good win. Then now 2-0 against the Tugfuzz and a 3-game win streak. So way to go, Coach Gardner. Next game, Bedennes taking Pakistan. Now, this was a close one. This was a real close one. Bedennes really needed a win to stay alive in the playoff race, realistically. They've dropped 3 on the trot. Tough position for them. Meanwhile, Pakistan, they're 8-3, leading the division. 2 more wins, they got to 10 wins. I believe with 1 win, they secure playoffs. And secure playoffs, they did in an extremely close game. 101.88 to 101.2. Bitter loss to take for Bedennes here. And it's all because of Antonio Gates, who got a big fat 0. If they kept Jared Cook, he would have got 0.6, I believe, which or 0.7, which would have just given them the win. As such, they lost. Excuse me, dog is being a pain in the ass again. What? Doesn't this make for fantastic viewing, people? Right. Don't know why the lighting's weird, I apologise. There we go, right. Yeah, back to this game. So, yeah, but anyways, they really did have a good week other than that time position. Dak Prescott getting 23, Terrell Pryor getting 13, Odell Beckham 21. Really good week from them. But as has been the case so many times this season, points on the bench, which there are plenty, didn't allow them to get the victory. But you know, they've got such a strong roster throughout. You know, I'd have trouble picking it too. So it's unsurprising they leave points on the bench. Meanwhile, on Pakistan's side of the ball, you know, best team in the league. What more can you say? They've been great. 25 points from Phil Rivers, John Stewart 21, Mike Evans 22. Not a great deal behind there this week, but you know, you got some guys in the 8s. It just helps you tick over, right? 9-3 now. They're going to the playoffs. So congratulations to second head coach Pat. And here we go. Ignan against Tom's Tyrants is our next one here. Another case of both teams needing the win to stay alive. Both these teams 5-6. A loss would really hurt at this point. Wasn't the best game. Ignan coming in on a 2-game win streak. Thomas Tyrants coming in on a 2-game losing streak. And both of those streaks are extended to 3. Ignan took it 84-78. Again, not a lot to say here. I think it's fair that Ignan probably picked up this game. They've had a lot of games that they've been really good and they've lost this season, so they deserve wins like this. But like I say, not a lot to speak of. Stafford 18, McCoy 27 for Ignan. On the other side of the ball, Tom's Tyrants left Andrew Luck in to begin with. That really didn't help. It was just a coaching error there, but it happens and it cost them the game, really. Behind that, Kelvin Benjamin 11, Tyler Eifert 12, Deshaun Jackson 17, Chargers D 14. Really, with a quarterback, it would have been a nice week, but you know, let him down, and it's unfortunate what happened. But 5-7 for them now. Ignan 6-6. History of this matchup is now 5-6. Still to Tom's Tyrants though. Next game. Brady Bunch took on Forge Flyers again. Both these teams at 5-6. Both need a win to stay alive. Possibly catch up with the division leading ADRZ. And the Brady Bunch took it 134 to 104. Forge Flyers have been really good lately. They've scored over 100, I think, for about 4 games in a row now. But the last 2, they've just been outscored. Mariota getting 25. Michael Thomas getting 22. Boy, what a great draft pick he was. Delaney Walker 11. Behind that, not much else. But a good score total. But I mean, the Brady bunch. You know, I said every week, Brady or bust. Brady gives this team that floor, and then if the other guys perform, they're going to have a great week. Brady 23, Hyde 15, Ajayi 11, Brown 27, 3 touchdowns on Thanksgiving. Willie Snead 11, Travis Kelce 10, Justin Tucker 3 50-yard field goals, people. They were incredible scenes, 19 points. Only 2 players scored below 10 this week. You've had a great week when you know that happens. And they took it. Now they're 6-6, 45, 5-7. Next and final game of the week, Gridiron Gang took on ADRZ. Entering this one, Gridiron Gang 5-6, ADRZ 6-5. If Gridiron Gang won, they take possession of the division lead again, regain that on points. ADRZ, if they got a win, they're one step closer to winning that division and returning to the playoffs with a chance to defend their title. But as it happened, ADRZ took it 105-88. They had a few great performances. Looking down, Tyra Taylor 22, Devontae Freeman 19, Devontae Booker 10, Kenny Britt 11, Jordan Reed 21, fighting through that shoulder injury. And a few good options on the bench as well. Meanwhile, Gridiron Gang, 88. They had a few good players. Derek Carr got 21. They had Cousins on the bench who got 36. Wouldn't have won in the game, but it would have got him over 100. Jordan Howard got 12. David Johnson, he's been great all season long, 22. After that, no one else got over 10. We're really seeing a weakness in the wide receiver core here for Gridiron Gang. Though I will say, Devontae Parker, I mean, boy, I was watching it. He had 2 plays called back that would have increased his point total by about 15 points. It was ridiculous, but as it stood, 6.4. Really subpar week, I guess. Gridiron Gang lose it. History of this one, ADRZ now 4-4 all time against Gridiron Gang. So we'll take a quick look at the standings now. The standings are in the Southampton division, ADRZ 7-5 with another win. They're really standing a good chance of locking up that division. The Brady Bunch are at 6-6. They need to win for a chance to win that division this week. If ADRZ win. Gridiron Gang and Forge Fires both at 5-7. Portsmouth division, Pakistan, as I said, they're now 9-3. They've locked up a playoff place. One more win, they'll get to 10. Ickenham 6-6. They can only hope for a wildcard position at this point. But Natives and Tom Torrance at 5-7. Winchester division, Dream Team now leading that 7-5. Meanwhile, Cash for Gold have leapt into second place at 6-6. Meanwhile, Benessesti is also 6-6, and Tuckvards rounding up the bottom at 5-7. So still very close, but realistically at this point, the 5-7 teams would have to have a lot to go their way to make the playoffs. Now looking at the power rankings, I won't give you my reaction, but I will give you the order. Because I wrote them, you can just read it, and that's what I think. So Pakistan holding at 1, ADRZ climbed from 3 to 2, Dream Team climbed from 4 to 3, Ickenham dropped from 2 to 4, but then it's hold at 5, Forge Flies hold at 6, Cash for Gold hold at 7, Brady Bunch climb at 1, they're now 8th from 9th, meanwhile Gridiron Gang fall from 8th to 9th, then SSDs, Tom Science and Tuckfards all holding at 10, 11 and 12. So those are your power rankings. So now we'll give a quick preview of next week's games. And let's just have a scan down here. See if we can see any marquee matchups. There's 2 that jump out at me, and I think I'm going to go with this one. Ickenham take on the Brady Bunch. So both these teams 6-6. Ickenham, they're just fighting for a wildcard place at this point. Meanwhile, the Brady Bunch, they need to win, and depending on the points, they might lead the division if ADRZ loses, but if ADRZ wins, they need to win to keep up and also stay in that wildcard running. Both these teams coming off of wins. Score projections have Brady Bunch winning at 99-86. History of this matchup. Ickenham are 3-1 against the Brady Bunch all time. Looking down the lineup, we say every week, Brady Bunch is very Brady or bust. They've got a lot of good players. Meanwhile, Ickenham side of the ball, they usually spread the love. Just looking down here, I mean, I can't pick against the Brady bunch. Ignan, they're capable of good weeks, but I don't think they're capable of the very good weeks. They've been a bit inconsistent. Meanwhile, the Brady bunch, you get that floor from Brady, and as we saw last week, they can just take off. So I'm going to take the Brady bunch in that one. Next game, the Dream Team against Tom's Tyrants. Tom, I mean, I stuck a fork in him in the power rankings. He can still make the playoffs, but he needs a win this week. Absolutely must-win game for Tom's Tyrants. Meanwhile, the Dream Team, with another win, they can solidify their hold on the division. Projections have this one 101 to 82. The Dream Team has already had one player play, Des Bryant. He got 14 on Thursday night. Looking down, you've got Drew Brees, Greg Olsen, Julio Jones. They've got a few really good players. Some side of the ball, they should get Andrew Luck back. But behind that, as has been the case all season long, we haven't seen many people you can rely on. Tyler Eifert's been pretty good. But, I always say, go with the points. I really think the Dream Team are going to win this one. The history of this matchup is the Dream Team are 2-7 all time against Tom Tyrants, so who knows, we could see an upset here. But I don't see it this week. I think the Dream Team will take this one. Cash for God against Bedene is now. This is a funny one because Coach Bedette is that's so unique when it comes to the playoffs. The podcast. He's benched all of his starters, bar one who played on Thursday night, and quite frankly, this is karma. Jason Witten got 0, so if you're going to play around like that, that's what you get. But, I mean, just a minute on that. Bedene's luck with tight ends has not been good this season. They got a 0 last week, another 0 from Witten, who, I mean, he's a staple for 3 points, and he got 0. I mean, I know Dak struggled in Thursday night's game. That's crazy. Otherwise, I'd anticipate them starting Matt Ryan. They've already benched Dak. Julian Edelman will probably play. Rashad Jennings will play. I imagine Sanders will play. Mark Ingram might play. Travis. Actually, no, Sam Watkins. I reckon they'll play Sam Watkins and Odell Beckham. And then you've got Sturgis and the Broncos D. On the other side of the ball, Cash for God, they got Aaron Rodgers, Jeremy Langford, Doug Baldwin Cooper, Jimmy Graham. It's really a stacked lineup. Credit to Cash for God. They've got stronger as the season's gone along. And they've been capable of high scoring weeks. They've already got 16 in the bag from Ezekiel Elliott. And I think that's really going to help them on their way. I think Cash for God will take this one. But then is need a win because they're at 5-7. But I see Cash for God taking this one. Still in the running for the division. Also in the running for the wild card. Our next game then, Gridiron Gang take on the Tuckfards. An interesting matchup in the history books. Gridiron Gang 4-7 all time against the Tuckfards, so in the Tuckfards' favour. But the Tuckfards really, as we know, have had their struggles this season. As have Gridiron Gang in the last 2 months. They've really not been that great. Well, they have in some games they've been great and just lost them. In other games they've not been too good. The receiving core is a big problem with the Gridiron Gang right now. They're starting Malcolm Mitchell. The projections are on 114 to 82 in favour of Gridiron Gang right now. But they've got David Johnson. Derek Carr's been very good. Jordan Howard's looking good. Doug Martin should return to form. Meanwhile, on the other side of the ball, Tuckfards, they've got Ben Roethlisberger, who we all know is capable of having a great game. They've got some really good running backs, Terrence West and Rob Kelly. Decent receiver, Micah Crabtree. Obviously, they've lost Gronk now, but Thomas Rawls is, he's looking like he's taking over that running back role again, so he should be good. They've already had the Vikings play this week, 12 points, so I think this one could be closer than meets the eye. But as Phil quite rightly commented, I'll lose all the rest of my Sundays. I'm not going to disagree with you here, mate. I'm taking Gridiron Gang in this game. Next game then, Ben SSDs take on Forge Flyers. Forge Flyers 5-7. They're in must-win mode. Ben SSD 6-6. They need to win to keep up in the division or stay in the race for that wildcard spot. Both teams have already had a few players between them play. Forge Flyers has had Izziata and Rudolph, who combined for 7.2. Not great. Ben SSD, they've had a kicker, Dan Bailey. He got 5. Looking down, Ben SSD's. they've got Le'Veon Bell, but behind that, really, there's no one you can count on. Dante Moncrief should have a good week against the Jets. On the other side of the ball, 45 is without the Tennessee Titans this week, which means they've literally got about 4 players on a bye from that alone. So they're starting Cam Newton, Wendell Smallwood. They've got Jordy Nelson, T.Y. Hilton, Michael Thomas. This is really a week I think we could see 45 struggle because, we joke every week that they are the Tennessee Titans, but that they are the Tennessee Titans. So having those guys on a bye is really critical to this team. And I think I'm actually going to go with Ben Necessities because of it. Ben Necessities haven't been good, but we know for trials what they were like until the Titans players really got good, and they weren't great themselves. So it's going to be a close one, I think, but I think Ben Necessities will probably take it. And our final game here, Pakistan take on ADRZ. Now this is really interesting because, the win ADRZ is all but assured of a playoff place, realistically. They'll be in the lead in the division and they'd be in prime position for a wild card if they were to lose their last week. Meanwhile, Pakistan, obviously, they're enjoying their last 2 weeks of football, which is very rare and lucky because it's nice to enjoy fantasy. They're 9-3, already got a playoff place secured. They'd like to win to get to 10, of course. Projections 91-81. History of this matchup. ADRZ is actually 2-0 against Pakistan, so they've got Pakistan's number. But Pakistan really have been great this season. They've got Phil Rivers, Melvin Gordon, Jonathan Stewart's playing a tough Seattle D, Mike Evans, Todd Gurley. It's a really good lineup. Meanwhile, ADRZ, they've got Devontae Freeman, Demaryius Thomas. Not a lot of great options behind that, but they've got quite a few solid ones in Tyrod Taylor. Kenny Britt's been pretty good. Tyreek Hill, he's been good, but we'll have to see with Jeremy Maclin coming back. But ultimately, I wrote in the power rankings that ADRZ, while they are capable of brilliance, they are capable of putting up an absolute stinker. Meanwhile, Pakistan, we see them turning good week after good week after good week. So I think, with that being said, Pakistan are probably going to take this one. And that is your preview. I hope you've enjoyed this whistle stop episode of the LSU Report. Best of luck this weekend. We'll obviously be back next week to preview the final week of the regular season, and whatever the results are this week, we are going to be no closer to figuring out who gets that wildcard spot. Potentially in what happens, we might have some confirmed division winners, but that wildcard spot is going to stay wide open, and I imagine so are the divisions. So tune in next week. Best of luck this weekend, and goodbye.